In this question, we're asked to consider a ball that's dropped from rest from a height above the ground. The ball then bounces back up to about half its initial height, and we've got to consider the velocities of the ball. So are there any sort of quick wins we can get here? Well, since the ball is falling and then rising, we can obviously say that its direction is changing, and of course velocity being a vector, that means that we're going to have to look for a graph that has both positive and negative values of velocity. Clearly that rules out graph C and graph D, because both of those graphs only show one sign of velocity, in other words travelling in the same direction. Looking at these graphs then, how can we get information about the distance covered, in other words the drop height and the bounce back up? Well, we just know that velocity is distance over time. Therefore, or that implies, perhaps I should say, that velocity times time equals distance. Now, given that we've got velocity on our y-axis and time on our x-axis, that just simply means that the area under the graph is equal to the distance travelled. So looking at graph A then, we can see that this area that I'm kind of hashing in red, that's going to be a distance, and it's going to equal the height that it's dropped from. Whereas the hash in green here is when it's going back up, so that area is going to be the height that it bounces back up to. So the question is then to compare the two graphs, A and B, and see in which one you think the area of the green triangle is around about half the area of the red triangle. So lots of different ways to do this, but I kind of found that one way to do it is just to imagine taking the bottom triangle and rotating it around a sort of a point like this, and then on the other graph we'll get the green one down here. So I think you can see now that the area of the green triangle in A is around about half the area of the overall triangle that I've hashed in red, whereas in B it's nothing like half, it's much smaller. So the answer is A.